first formula is sum formulas. Sum formula is very common formula is in Microsoft Excel, which basically help us to calculate the sum of the values in either rows or sum of the values in column. So here I created a very simple data, which is basically a sales data for the different region, east, west, north, and the south. And these all columns have the different values, different sales value. What I would like to sum up the value in the column east. I want to see the total sum of the sale value in the east region. So I will use the sum formula. For the key thing to remember is whenever you start typing the formula, it always starts with is equal to. I will press is equal to and then I'll press SUM. You can see from the drop down list they are showing the multiple formulas. So my relevant formula is the first one. If I press tab, so it will select that formula. Now it is providing you the guidelines. Number one is asking you, number one means the cell reference of the very first cell in your column, which is this one. I select this one, and then second thing is colon sign. When I press the colon sign, you can see it again mention the C8, which I don't want. So what I will do, I will just click on this last cell in column. Then what I have seen, so it has selected the whole range, it has selected the whole column for me. And the last thing is close of bracket. Now your sum formula is complete. Sum formula is equal to SUM start of bracket, first cell reference, and then colon sign, and then the last cell reference. So it will auto calculate the sum within that column. If I press enter, so you can see it's saying 15,399 is the sum value, is the sum of the sales data in each region. So there are different ways of calculating this sum formula. First I just showed you. If I press delete, the second one and the easy is the shortcut key which I mentioned here, alt plus is equal to. If you keep holding alt button and then press is equal to, so now you can see it's showing me the same formula which I manually typed. So the shortcut key for calculating the sum formula is alt is equal to and press enter. So you can see it is showing me the same sum which it showed me before. So this was the second method to calculate the sum formula. If I delete this one, and the third method is select this whole range, and then in the home tab you can see on the right side auto sum. If I click on the little node on the side, then it will show me the drop down menu, and from the drop down menu there's the first one is sum formula. If I click this one, you can see it has calculated the sum at the very next column, very next cell next to the end of this column cells. So it is showing me the same sum, which is 15,399. So there are three different types of calculating the sum in your Microsoft Excel sheet, which I just showed you. So what I would like to copy this formula for the rest of the column, because I want to know how much the other regions earned in terms of the revenue. So do I need to type the formula manually, or I can do some automatic calculation? Yes, the answer is you can do the automatic calculation. Just you can see at the, if I move the cursor at the bottom of this cell, this active cell, you can see the plus sign. If I just drag from the bottom and drag towards the other cells where I want to calculate the sum, then you can see it has calculated the sum for the rest of the columns. It has calculated sum for the west, north, and the south. What I just did, I simply dragged from the bottom of this cell, so it has copied the formula for the rest of the columns. If I delete this one, next formula is subtraction formula. sometimes we need to subtract the value from some other value. So here I created a very simple example, which is the salary. First column is the salary and second column is the tax. The third column is net income. I want to calculate the net income, so which is based on salary minus tax. This is how we calculate the net income. So I will use the deduction subtraction formula. It starts with is equal to. I select the first cell reference, which is the salary cell reference, and then minus, and I will select the second cell, which is from the tax column, and press enter. Now I have seen it has deducted the tax from the salary and is showing me the net income, which is 20,500. So this is how we calculate the net income. Again, if I want to copy this formula, I will simply go to the bottom of this cell and then drag from the bottom, so it will calculate the net income for the rest of the rows. 15,000 minus 6,389, net income is 8,611. So this is how you calculate net income through the subtraction formula. Formula is simple. First is equal to first cell reference minus second cell reference. Let's move on to the third formula. Third formula is multiplication formula. Sometimes we want to multiply the values to get some result in our data. In this data, the first column is employee name, second column is overtime rate, and the third column is overtime hours. And what I want to calculate the overtime amount, how much I need to pay in the lieu of the overtime. So these are employee name, their overtime rate, and their overtime hours. I want to calculate these two cells, want to multiply these two cells to calculate the overtime amount. So it starts with is equal to. Select the first cell reference and then asterisk, which is used for the multiplication, and then second cell reference, and then press enter. So what this formula will do, it will multiply this overtime rate cell with the overtime hours. So 15 multiplied by 8.5, so it's showing me 127.5. So this is the overtime amount due for the employee. So if I want to calculate the overtime for all the employees, so simply what I will do, I will go to the bottom of this cell and then press double click. So you can see after double clicking, it has copied the formula for rest of the rows. Another thing I would like to mention here, if you want to see the detail of the formula, then just press F2, so it will show you the detail of the formula, how this amount was calculated. Like in this case, is equal to first cell reference, which is D28 asterisk E28, which is the second cell reference, and then press enter. So it showed me how it calculated this amount. So formula is on the side is equal to first cell reference asterisk and the second cell reference. Okay, let's move on to the next formula, which is the division formula. Here I created a very simple example, cost of product, units produced, and I want to calculate the cost per unit. So how can I do this? If I divide the cost of the product by the units produced, then I can easily calculate the unit cost. So I'll start with is equal to, select this first cell reference, then slash, and then select second cell reference and press enter. So now I can see that 200 is the cost per unit for the first row, because the cost of product was 100,000 and the units produced was 500. I divided the 100,000 by 500, so it's showing me the cost per unit, which is 200. Again, if I want to copy this formula, just drag from the bottom and It will copy the formula for the rest of the rows. You don't need to calculate the formula manually. It will apply the calculation automatically. Again, formula is on the side, is equal to first cell reference slash and the second cell reference. So this is the division formula for you. Let's move on to the next formula. Next formula is the percentage formula. Percentage formula is basically, the example is the student name, total marks, marks obtained, and if I want to see what's the percentage of the each student's mark, so I will use the percentage formula, which is basically the in addition to the division formula. First we will use addition formula, is equal to marks obtained slash, and then select this cell reference and then press enter. When you use the divide formula, it will give you the result in decimals. We don't want the result in decimals, we want the result in percentage. So what I will do, in the home tab you can see the number field and there is a percentage option, percent style. If I click this option, you can see this figure has been changed from 0.75 to 75%. So it's showing me in terms of percentage. Again, if I want to calculate the percentage for the rest of the students, what I will do, I will simply double click at the bottom of this first cell and then it will calculate the percentage marks for the rest of the students. The formula is on the side. Again, we'll use a division formula and then from the home tab we'll use a percentage to convert it to the percentage.